It all started that crisp autumn morning back in '95. No, wait. It was more like the culmination of everything I'd been building toward for damn near 3 decades. When I stepped out onto the porch of my old family farm by Willow Creek, coffee mug in hand, expecting nothing but the usual quiet hum of the cows grazing down by the water's edge. Instead, these black SUVs come barreling through my front gate like they owned the place, splintering the wood and kicking up dust, all decked out with these fake-looking Riverside Community Association banners flapping in the wind. And there she was, Lydia Harrington, barking orders at a squad of goons in tactical gear, dart guns at the ready, zeroing in on my Pioneer Bull like it was some kind of trophy they had every right to snatch. Hell, I could feel my blood pressure spiking, but deep down, I wasn't surprised. I'd been waiting for her kind of greed to show its face, rooted in that twisted family grudge she'd nursed since her granddad's days. See, Lydia wasn't just some corporate suit-playing enforcer for fun. She was the CEO of Vanguard Genetics, and this HOA enforcement was her slick cover for straight-up theft. All because my farm's herd carried genetic secrets from Project Horizon. That old government research her grandfather, Dr. Edward Harrington, helped pioneer back in the day, aimed at curing rare diseases, not lining pockets. But Lydia? She'd turned his legacy into a profit machine, buying off local officials, faking community violations to seize properties from folks like me, former researchers who'd gone underground to keep the work pure. And yeah, it stung personally because Edward had been my mentor, a man who believed in healing over hoarding, while she saw his ethics as weakness, something to fix by monopolizing treatments and letting patients suffer if they couldn't pay the ransom. I stood there, heart pounding but steady, as her team advanced, my cows shifting into those defensive clusters I'd drilled them on for years, not out of paranoia, mind you, but from knowing corporate sharks like her would eventually circle, driven by that mix of envy and entitlement that comes from growing up in the shadow of a genius you could never match. I didn't bolt inside or dial 911 like some panicked old-timer. Nah, at 78 I'd earned my calm the hard way, so I just reached into my flannel pocket, flipped on this tiny recorder I'd carried every morning since the '90s, and called out across the yard with that low drawl that always caught folks off guard. "Miss Harrington, ain't it a bit low, hiding behind a neighborhood association to steal what your granddad gave away for free?" She froze right there in her polished boots, that smug mask cracking just a hair, her eyes narrowing like I'd slapped her, because mentioning Edward hit her where it hurt, stirring up that buried guilt over how she'd corrupted his vision, turning life-saving genes into commodities while families begged for scraps. "You got no proof, old man," she snapped back, waving her crew forward. But I could see the flicker of doubt, the way her voice edged up, betraying how personal this was. Not just business, but a vendetta against anyone who reminded her of what she'd betrayed. And that's when I pressed my advantage, strolling over to that weathered fence post like it was no big deal, my fingers finding the hidden switch disguised as a loose nail. Click. And suddenly the game's changed, encrypted files beaming out to federal servers, my farm's defenses humming to life, electromagnetic pulses messing with their gadgets, cameras rolling from every angle. My Pioneer Bull, that smart old beast engineered to produce those miracle proteins, led the herd toward the hidden tunnels we'd rehearsed 100 times, vanishing into the tree line while Lydia's thugs fumbled with glitching scanners. Frustrating as hell for her, I bet, watching her simple grab unravel. She spun on me, face flushed. "Shut him up and get those animals." But I just smiled, lifting the recorder. "Everything's on tape, Lydia. Your fake authority, the trespass, Vanguard's dirty playbook. Does your board know you're risking it all for a grudge?" Her composure shattered then, that corporate ice queen melting into raw fury. "My grandfather was a fool, giving away billions. I'm building an empire." And damn if that admission didn't feel like sweet justice, captured clear as day, exposing how her drive wasn't just greed, but a desperate need to outdo the old man, even if it meant dooming kids with the very diseases he'd fought to cure. But here's where it gets real personal. Flash back with me to that kitchen table talk with my daughter Emily, way back when she was just a kid, explaining why our family games involved evacuation drills through cow tunnels and coding encrypted messages before she could tie her shoes properly. Emily wasn't the accountant I told the neighbors about. She ran a shadow unit in the feds, protecting Horizon vets like me from exactly this corporate rot, a role I'd nudged her toward after seeing Vanguard's early moves, seizing farms, faking eminent domain, all to hoard genes that could treat everything from rare cancers to genetic flukes. but only if you paid their price. Lydia's pattern was textbook. Target isolated families, bribe HOA boards to invent violations, swoop in with enforcers. She'd hit 11 others before me, destroying lives over land disputes that masked her real hunt for our research, fueled by that Harrington ego, convinced controlling life and death made her powerful, not monstrous. I invited her inside for coffee. Yeah, you heard that right. Like any good host, pouring from my chipped mug while her team floundered outside, equipment frying, cows long gone underground. "Been expecting you, Lydia," I said casually, sliding over a folder thick as a Bible. Photos of her shady deals, payoffs to crooked councilmen, patient records showing Vanguard withholding cures to keep prices sky high. Evidence I'd gathered slow and steady, year after year, because this wasn't just about my farm. It was about stopping a woman who'd let her ambition twist into something dark, using desperate folks as pawns. She leaned in, snarling, "You're bluffing. No way a backwoods farmer tracks corporate ops like that." But her eyes betrayed the panic, especially when I hit her with the gut punch. "6 of your goons out there? Scans show they're carrying those same markers. Terminal stuff my work could fix if you weren't locking it away for profit." Her laugh came out bitter, forced. "Expendable, all of them. Families get payouts and NDAs." And there it was, her soul laid bare. That cold calculus where lives were line items, born from resenting Edward's compassion, pushing her to prove strength through cruelty. Then the door swung open, and in walked Dr. Sophia Langford. My old Horizon partner, briefcase in each hand, face set like she'd waited a lifetime for this reckoning. Because Lydia's accidents had nearly killed her daughter Mia 8 years back, a hit meant to silence Sophia's digging. But Mia survived down in my bunker's clinic, thriving on treatments Vanguard called unprofitable. Sophia spread her files across the table. Audio tapes of Lydia ordering eliminations, docs on bribed judges, lists of families ruined, all while helicopters thrummed in the distance. Emily's signal finally paying off. "Hiding? Nah, I've been hunting you," Sophia said, voice steady but laced with 10 years' rage, as Lydia's radio crackled with reports of feds closing in. "And Deputy Alex Thornton?" Turns out he was playing both sides, coerced because Vanguard held his kid's treatment hostage. Classic Lydia move, weaponizing hope to build her network of reluctant traders. But he'd been recording too, turning liability into leverage, his voice breaking on the line. "They threatened my girl. I had no choice, but I've got it all on tape. The board meetings debating casualty rates like it's quarterly earnings. The climax hit like a storm. Federal choppers descending, agents swarming, Emily's voice booming. "This ends now, Harrington. Your terrorism's over." Lydia lunged for the folder, wild-eyed. "You can't touch me. I've got connections." But I just stepped back, having already injected myself with the serum, turning my blood into the ultimate safe. A living code for the cures, unlockable only for real healers, not profiteers. My final play, born from fearing I'd lose it all, ensuring her greed died here. They cuffed her amid the chaos, her empire crumbling as raids hit Vanguard HQ, patents revoked as stolen goods, treatments flooding out to waiting families. Mia's reunion with Sophia, Alex's daughter getting her shot at life, even my neighbors showing up. Eyes opened to how HOA drama masked murder. 3 months on, sipping coffee on that same porch, farm now a Fed-protected lab, buzzing with ethical docs. I can't help wondering, was Lydia a monster, or just the product of a system that rewards ruthlessness? Did we win justice, or just shift the battle? Hell, what do you think? Drop a comment below on where the line blurs between corporate ambition and outright evil, or share your own run-in with community BS that turned out deeper than it seemed. Like, subscribe if these hidden fights hit home, because sometimes the quiet neighbor's the one saving us all.